Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our class, Chaitanya Charitamrita Bhagavatam class. So again, after a long time, we are coming back to the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today, we will continue from chapter 18. Maharaj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. And last time, we were discussing from chapter 17, punishment and reward of Kali, how Maharaj Parikshit, he received the Kali and he gave him 5 places to reside in his country. He did not banish him. So in that way, Maharaj gave him shelter in his kingdom. But Maharaj Parikshit was such an exalted king, a dear devotee of the Lord. He did not allow personality of Kali to exercise his power in his kingdom. So that's how now in this the next chapter, chapter 18, we're going to hear how Maharaj Parikshit got cursed by the Brahmana boy. So in the beginning, Sridhar Swami writes, Rajya Tvashtadase Tasya Brahma Shapo Nirupyate. So, which is entitled by Srila Prabhupada as Maharaj Parikshit cursed by Brahmana boy. So this is one of the topic being discussed in this chapter. And Sochanugraha evasya jata vairagya mavahan. So, even though Maharaj Parikshit was cursed by a Brahmana boy, but according to Siddhar Swami, such a anugraha evasya, he took that as the mercy of the personality of Godhead, because as you will see, Prabhupada narrates in his purport that Maharaj Parikshit was thinking that when Lord could protect him from the attack of the Brahmastra weapon of Ashwatthama, when he was burnt in his mother's womb, at that time Lord protected him. So similarly, by the will of the Lord, this curse has come to him. So he took this as a Lord's mercy. And Jata Vairagya Mavahan, as he took the curse of the Brahmana boy as the mercy of the Supreme Lord, he became detached from the material activities, from the opulence of his country, his position as a king. He became completely detached. So this is what is discussed in this chapter. So in the beginning, Srila Sutta Goswami continues, Sutta Vacha Yo Vai Draunastra Viplusto No Matu Rudare Mritaha Anugrahad Bhagavato Krishnasya Bhuta Karmana Yo Vai Draunastra Viplusto. He was attacked by the Brahmastra weapon of Ashwatthama, but he was not killed. He was burnt. No, Mathur Udare. He didn't die in his mother's womb. Anugrahat Bhagavata. Why? It was the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Because Krishna Syadbhuta Karmana. Krishna, he performs his acts in a very wonderful way. Due to the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Maharaj Parikshit, though struck by the weapon of the son of Drona in his mother's womb, could not be burned. Could not be burned. Purport: the sages of Naimisaranya became struck with wonder after hearing about the wonderful administration of Maharaj Parikshit, especially in reference to his punishing the personality of Kali and making him completely unable to do any harm within the kingdom. Sutta Goswami was equally anxious to describe Maharaj Parikshit's wonderful birth and death, and this verse is stated by Sutta Goswami to increase the interest of the sages of Naimisharanya. So in that way, the sages of Naimisharanya, they wanted to hear about Maharaj Parikshit. So he's telling what a wonderful person, what a great devotee of the Lord he was, that he was protected in his mother's womb. And so he's going to further discuss. Brahma kopatthita jastu takshakat prana vipluvat. Brahma kopatthita jastu takshakat prana vipluvat. Na sammoho rubhayad bhagavatyarpitashayah. Bhagavati arpitashaya means whose consciousness was completely fixed unto the personality of Godhead. Therefore, no sammoho bhayat. He actually did not get bewildered. He was not overwhelmed. Neither he was afraid nor overwhelmed. From Brahma Kopathitat, he was to be beaten by the serpent which was coming as the curse of the Brahmana boy. So, because he was completely engrossed in thoughts of the personality of Godhead, therefore, such a curse neither afraid nor overwhelmed him. Furthermore, Maharaj Parikshit was always consciously surrendered to the personality of Kali, personality of Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear due to a snake bird which was to bite him because of the fury of a Brahmana boy. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, a self-surrendered devotee of the Lord is called Narayana Parayana. Such a person is never afraid of any place or person, not even of death. He knows well that both heaven and hell are creation of Lord, and similarly, life and death are different conditions of existence created by the Lord. But in all conditions and in all circumstances, remembrance of Narayana is essential. So, in that way, devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was neither afraid nor bewildered by such thing. That is the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. So, very interesting point that Maharaj Parikshit, even though he knew that he will be killed by the bite of the snake bird, still he was not overwhelmed. He was not afraid to face the situation, because a devotee, perfect devotee, pure devotee of the Lord, he accepts all conditions of life as the mercy of the Supreme Lord. As Prabhupada writes, Maharaj Parikshit took this to be sent by Narayana. He knew that Narayana, Lord Krishna, had saved him when he was burned in the womb of his mother. And if he were to be killed by a snake bite, it would also take place by the will of the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Saranagati songs, Maravi Rakhavi Jo Ichha Tuhara Nitya Dasa Prati Tuyadhikara. Whether you kill me or you protect me. Maravi Rakhavi Jo Ichha Tuhara. Whatever you decide, whatever you desire. Whether you kill me or protect me. Nitya Dasa Prati Tuyadhikara. You have got your all freedom to handle me as you want, as you desire. You have got all right to handle me whichever way you want. Right? That is the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ashvaishyava padaratam pinastumam varmahatam karotava. Whether you give me a darshan or you kick me, in whichever condition, Yatha tatha bhavi dadhatu lampato mat prananath. You are my prananath, birth after birth. So I have accepted you as my shelter. You are the Lord and Master. So whatever you do, I accept it. This is the mood you can see very prominent in all the pure devotees of the Lord. Here, therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, he very clearly faced the situation by accepting the curse of the Brahmana boy at the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Text number 3. Utsujya sarvatah sangam vigyata samstitah tihi Vaiyasake jaho shishyo gangayam swam kalevaram utsrijya sarvatah sangam. So, before in the verse number 2, it is said, Bhagavati arpitashaya. Because his consciousness was completely submerged in thoughts of Krishna. Therefore, Utsujya sarvatah sangha. He could leave aside everything material, even his own body, on the bank of Ganga, right? Utsujya sarvata sangam. Gangayam swam kalevaram. He could very easily disassociate himself. He could renounce all material things, even up to giving up his body on the bank of Ganga. How? Vigyata jita samsthitihi. Because he Vigyata, he understood what? Ajita Samsthiti. Ajita means the personality of Godhead, Tattvam. The truth about Ajita was very well known to him. Now, how he knew? Vaiyasake Shishyo. Because he accepted Sukadev Goswami as his spiritual master. This is a very interesting point here Sukadeva Goswami is making, that when one hears from a bona fide representative of God like Sukadeva Goswami, all his doubts will be dispelled and he will in totality, in truth, know about the personality of Godhead. Just like Maharaj Parikshit, as he heard from Sukadeva Goswami, he knew all truths. What is the truth about the personality of Godhead? He knew. So he knew about his eternal abode. his transcendental paraphernalia in the Dham, transcendental position in the Dham. So in that way, when he knows about the Lord and his activities in Dham, he could very easily relinquish his attachment. He could leave aside everything material. So this is the duty of a bona fide spiritual master, that they educate the devotee, the disciple, in the science of Krishna consciousness. Science of Krishna consciousness means his activity, his abode, his transcendental paraphernalia. Just by hearing from a realized soul, the disciple will automatically lose his taste to this material world. So that is what happened to Srila Maharaj Parikshit. So Prabhupada writes the purport from the Bhagavad Gita. We understand the quality of the Lord's energy that is superior to the material quality of energy, and by the grace of a bona fide spiritual master like Sukadeva Goswami, it is quite possible to know everything in the superior energy of everything of the superior energy of the Lord, by which the Lord manifests his eternal name, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. Unless one thoroughly understands this superior or eternal energy of the Lord, it is not possible to leave the material energy. However, one may theoretically speculate on the true nature of the absolute truth. By the grace of the Lord Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit was able to receive the mercy of such a personality as Sukadeva Goswami, and thus he was able to know the actual position of the unconquerable Lord. It is very difficult to find the Lord from the Vedic literature, but it is very easy to know him by the mercy of liberated devotee like Sukadeva Goswami. So here, hearing from a liberated devotee like Sukadeva Goswami is very important. Liberated devotee means what? Our material body possesses these material elements, the limbs in the body. When one grows old, automatically the material functions of the body dwindles. Even though the bodily functions are not perfect, still at that time a liberated soul can be in perfect consciousness of Krishna. He can still guide the disciple on the true path. We have seen even great souls in our society who might be going through some physical inconveniences, but still when they meet their disciple and instruct them, the consciousness is very clean. They are able to quote scripture. They are able to guide them properly. How is it possible? Because they are liberated. Nottom shloka vartanam jusotam tat katham ritam syat sambramanta kalepi smaratam tat padam bhujam. Uttamo shloka vartanam jusotam tat katham ritam syat sambramo antakalepi. This is what it is said, you see. And this was so because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead, and Jusutam Tat Kathamridam, means those who are engaged in hearing the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. What happens? Do not turn the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. Prabhupada writes, there is no gain in hearing the Vedic hymns from some mental speculator. There are people who simply try to speculate to understand the conclusions of the Vedic literature. It is not beneficial to hear from them. When the same is heard from an actual self-realized soul and is properly understood by service and submission, then what happens? Everything becomes transcendently clear. See, even if we have the opportunity to hear from a liberated soul, if we don't hear with service and submission, then still things will remain unclear to us. Try to understand this very clearly. So now the question can be raised, who can hear from a liberated soul with submission and service and will get clear message? On the other hand, who, even after hearing with submission and service, still remains bewildered, he is not able to get clarity about the subject matter that he hears, which is narrated by a liberated soul. We need to understand this concept. Unless we come to the platform of being a Brahmana. Brahmana means you have to have Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna means, like in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about the divine quality. So one who is born with divine quality, he will have Sattva-guna. So that means when one is in Sattva-guna, at that time he will be able to assimilate the knowledge properly with submission and service. On the other hand, Rajaguna and Tamaguna will not be so much effective, because in the Rajaguna what happens, there is pravritti, means they will automatically be dragged to their desires. Like we have seen, sometimes somebody who is in Rajaguna means who has a lot of interest in this material world, whether in terms of setting a good family or being successful in the business or being a strong person in the society or accumulating opulence. These are the sign of Rajaguna. You may say, I want to just use it in Krishna's service. But because Raja Pravrityatmaka, Rajaguna is very much engaging. It will drag us to get entangled in such kind of objects and interests, name, fame, etc. Then what will happen? At that time, even if we are, for the sake of saying, we do some service and we have also submitted ourselves, but still the knowledge will not be very much clearer to such a person. Therefore, to some degree, we need to be renounced. We should be on the mood of goodness. Then only the submission and service will help us to realize, to get the clarity of the narration that we hear from the lips of a liberated soul. Thus, a submissive disciple is able to live transcendently and continue to the end of life. By scientific adoption, one is able to remember the Lord even at the end of life. When the power of remembrance is slackened due to derangement of bodily membranes for a common man. It is very difficult to remember things as they are at the time of death, but by the grace of the Lord and his bona fide devotee, the spiritual masters, uh, one can get this opportunity without difficulty, and it was done in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. Very nicely put by Srila Prabhupada. When the power of remembrance is slackened due to the derangement of bodily remembrance, still, by the will of the Lord, by the grace of the Guru, one will be able to remember the Lord. Hmm? This is very important. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, scientific adoption by the summation, by scientific adoption, one is able to remember. Means, when we hear from a liberated soul, we also simultaneously get taste, and that is scientific adoption of the process. Tavat kalirna prabhave pravistopi sarvatah javadisha mahanurvyam abhimanyava ekarat. Now, Srila Sutta Goswami is describing the great devotee, the power of the great devotee, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu. Tavat kalir na prabhavet pravishtopi hasarvata. When the personality of Kali entered into the kingdom, the moment Krishna left this world, that very moment Kali entered the planet. But even though Kali was there in the kingdom, still he was not able to exercise his power because Java is a Mahan Urvyam Abhimanya Vayekarat. This king, Parikshit, son of Abhimanyu, was there. Kali was not able to exercise his power. Why? Because Maharaj Parikshit was very expert in keeping all the citizens of his country engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's why Kali was not able to exert any power. As long as the great powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish. Prabhupada writing in the purport, as we have already explained, the personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of this earth long ago, and he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence all over the world. But he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is the way of good government. The, the disturbing elements like the personality of Kali will always try to extend their nefarious activities, but it is the duty of the able state to check them by all means. Although Maharaj Parikshit allotted places for the personality of Kali, at the same time, he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali. You can say, why did Maharaj Parikshit give him shelter? Because he is a weak man, he is going to anyway perform his nefarious activities. Why did Maharaj Parikshit give him place? See, Maharaj Parikshit is a great devotee of the Lord. We will see afterwards. He didn't see any fault in anyone. He was protecting everybody. He protected the personality of Kali by not allowing him to exercise his power. At the same time, how he engaged the citizens in the Krishna conscious activity so that Kali could not spread its influence. So, now text number 6. In text number 6, Sridhar Swami writing, Nanu tada kale apraveso evastu pravishtopi no prabhava prabhavaditi kutastatra. So it is said, some may say, well, Kali did not enter at that time. How can you say that he was there but he was not able to spread his influence? Therefore, Sutta Goswami is saying, Jasmin nahani jarheva bhagavan nutsarjagam tadaibehanuvritto savadharma prabhava kalihi. Jasmin nahani jarheva bhagavan utsasarjagam. The moment Krishna left this earth, at that very moment, personality of Kali entered. The very day and moment, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of religious activities, came into this world. Again, this is a very wonderful purport. Let us read from Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead and His holy name, qualities, etc., are all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, etc., of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. That is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. In modernized human society, there are great advancements of material science, and they have invented the radio to distribute sound in the air. So instead of vibrating some nuisance sound for sense enjoyment, if the state arranges to distribute transcendental sound by resounding the holy name, fame, and activities of the Lord as they are authorized in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then a favorable condition will be created. The principles of religion in the world will be re-established, and thus the executive heads who are so anxious to drive away corruption from the world will be successful. Nothing is bad if properly used for the service of the Lord. When I was reading this purport, I was very glad to see that how today, throughout the whole world, our devotees are using this internet facility to spread the glories of the Lord. They're speaking the qualities and activities of the Lord. Sometimes devotees also chanting, right? They have this chanting session also. You can imagine, like Prabhupada is saying, radio is spreading this some nuisance sound vibration. But why we should do that? He is saying nothing is bad if properly used for the service of the Lord. So if we spread this Krishna consciousness movement by using internet, the entire atmosphere will be purified. Actually, you don't require to be in a position to rectify the world. In that way, you can say. Sometimes some people say, oh, if you are in the government position, you are in the key position where people listen to you, then only you can do. Well, if you have some devotee who are ready to listen, just speak on Srimad Bhagavatam by using internet, wherever they may be. That will give a favorable condition. That will help us to establish a favorable condition. That will create a favorable condition. The principle of religion in the world will be re-established, and thus the executive head who are anxious to drive away corruption from the world will be successful. Anyway, if they are not being successful, we can help them to become successful, or we can also help to re-establish these principles of religion and create a favorable atmosphere in the world first, simply by using more and more internet in speaking the glories of the Lord. That's what I was thinking when we started this Bhagavatam program. Now we have around 70 teachers are teaching around the world. And so many devotees are getting benefited. Most of the places we are doing through this Zoom, so many teachers are teaching. This is a wonderful way to bring some positive change in the surroundings of the world. So please, you take this advantage, do your duty. Nanu adharma hetum kalim sarvata kim na hatavan tatraha. So somebody can ask this question, well, Maharaj Parikshit was such a great person, and why he did not kill the personality of Kali? Because Nanu Dvasti Kalim Samrat Saranga Eva Sarabhuk Kushalanyasu Siddhanti Netarani Kritani Chat. Nanu Dvasti Kalim Samrat. Maharaj Parikshit, he was the emperor. He did not punish. He did not punish the Kali. He was not envious of the Kali. Why? Because Sarabhuk, Saranga Iva Sarabhuk, like a black bee, goes to a flower, without destroying the flower, it takes the honey. Similarly, Maharaj Parikshit, he knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things, when merely intended, Kusalani asu siddhanti netarani kritani. When somebody just think of some auspicious act in his mind, it will render good result. Whereas sins do not fructify till they are committed. When sinful activities are performed, then only they will render result. Just by thinking they will not. But in other yugas, other ages, just by thinking of the religious act, they will be punished. I'm sure they will have to be subjugated because of getting the result just by thinking. The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So, by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. So, unless one performs the activities of sinful activities, you will not be victimized. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Uh, so, therefore, Maharaj Parikshit could see this good quality in Kali, so he did not uh, punish him. Maharaj Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas, also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantages of the age of Kali. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th or 12th canto, this verse is there. Kalim sabha jayantyarya gunagya sarbrahina. Why? Jatra sankirtane naiva sarvasartha vilabhyate. The Saragrahi, the great souls, who can see the essence in everything, they even sometimes admire, or you can say worship this Kali. Here Prabhupada says, they actually wish all good for the Kali. Why? Jatra sankirtanenaiva sarvasartha vilabhyate. The highest perfection of human life can be achieved simply by performing sankirtan in this age of Kali. Therefore, in the great souls, they sometimes wish good to the Kali. So Maharaj Parikshit could see this, so he did not punish him. So, very interesting point. In the next verse, it is said, anyway, before we go, we should know sometimes when we see some bad quality in someone, we immediately try to attack him, right? But you see, what is the attempt of a great devotee? Kali does not exert its power in a devotee of the Lord. He remains inactive. It says, Kimnu bale su surena kalina dhira viruna apramatta pramatteshu jo vrika nishu vartate. Kimnu balesu surena. Bala means agya. Agya means inexperienced people or less intelligent people. For them, Kali becomes like a Sura. Sura means very powerful. Means those who are unintelligent. Means at times, those who are not able to apply their spiritual intelligence to see what is good, what is bad, what is dharma, what is adharma, what to be done and what should be avoided. If they are devoid of such intelligence, for that person, Kali becomes like a very powerful person and he attacks them. Okay, but Kalina Dhira Viruna. Actually, he become covered before a Dhira Purusha, means a self-controlled person. When Kali comes near a self-controlled person, he becomes like a coward man. But when he comes in front of an ignorant man, unintelligent person, he becomes very powerful. Remember this. This is very important. Kimnu bale susurena kalina dhira viruna. Then the next line says, Apramatta pramatteshu jo brika nishu vartate. Your nation, those human beings, those people who are pramatta. Pramatta means those who are always made at enjoying this world. They are pramatta. Pramattesu or pramatta. Very carefully, he attacks them like a tiger. Brika like a tiger. This is very important point to take a note on. Those who are self-control, who have intelligence, Kali does not harm them. He becomes like a coward man before them. But those who are careless, they are mad after material enjoyment. For them, he attacks like a tiger. Prabhupada writes in the purport, those who are not devotee of the Lord are careless and unintelligent. Unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot be a devotee of the Lord. Those who are not devotees of the Lord fall prey to the actions of Kali. It will not be possible to bring about a saner condition in society unless we are prepared to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaj Parikshita. That is, propagation of the devotional service of the Lord to the common man. Very important point. That means we all should try to spread the devotional service amongst the common people of this world. This is how we'll be able to successfully curb the effect of Kali. Because Kali na dhira viruna. When he finds a dhira, when he finds a devotee, he immediately becomes silent. He is like a coward man. he doesn't do anything to them. Therefore, to fight against Kali means increase the number of devotees in the world. So, give Harinam to everybody, ask everybody to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, teach them. This is how Kali will not be able to disturb the world. Upavarnitame tadvah punyam parikshitam maya Vasudeva kathopeta makyanam jad apricchata. O sages, as you did ask me, now I have described almost everything regarding the narrations about Lord Krishna in connection with the history of the pious Maharaj Parikshit. Jaya katha bhagavato kathaniyor karmanaha guna karmasaya pumbhi samsebhyasta bhubhushubhi. So this is the essence of all scripture. Jaya katha bhagavata kathaniyo urukarmana. And the urukarmana kathaniya. The wonderful activities of the Lord are the subject matter of hearing. They are kathaniya. Therefore, guna karma sayapamhi samsebhyasta bhubhushubhi. Those who desire welfare for themselves, then they should simply hear the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts wonderfully. The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities, and names of the Lord Sri Krishna pushes one towards eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing Him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowing Him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Such transcendental glorified activities of the Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth and death, old age and disease, which are considered to be material awards for the conditions being being. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. So, the goal should be just to dedicate our life to hear about the glorious activities of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so I will conclude our class here today, and the next class will continue from text number 11. So if you have any question or comment, we can spend some time. So Hadev Babaji, how are you? Yes. Sadhu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming back.
Thank you for not forgetting us.
Oh, no, it's not possible. I'm sinful. Krishna will not answer my prayers. Otherwise, I was praying that maybe Krishna give you the power to expand yourself so you can be in many places at the same time.
No. You see, I am thinking now, actually Krishna has become very merciful to me. I'm slowly thinking to kind of, relinquish my managerial responsibilities so that I can spend more time in hearing and chanting and discussing the Lord's activities and his pastimes with the devotees. So soon I think he will make some arrangements. So pray like that. Not that I want to become a yogi to expand myself. I should not expect like that. I don't want to also, because I want to be, located in one place with the devotees and, hear chant with the devotees so that I can also get benefit.
Prabhu, I heard speaking, hearing Bhagavatam, they are all the same. So you are speaking it. So you are speaking it to many of us, and we are enjoying it. Well, thank you. Welcome back, Prabhuji. But I have a question in, I think it's text 2. Yeah, let me see, text 2. Yes, text 2. They get into the last sentence. Srila Prabhupada says, the devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was neither afraid of nor bewildered by such things. That is the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. Now, of course, I'm not a pure devotee, but my question is, Maharaj Parikshit was a king. Therefore, he had to discipline his subjects. If everything is by the arrangement of Krishna, why would Maharaj Parikshit restrict the citizens from doing certain things, which a king usually does? But in the case of him being cursed by Shringi, he took that as the mercy of the Lord. So for those of us who are not pure devotees, how do we ascertain that this thing happening to me is by the will of God, or this thing happening to me is by my own carnal desires, so I have to do something about it. How do we tell? Thank you, Prabhuji.
How do we tell how to see things from the proper perspective?
Yes.
We just have to apply our intelligence. Applying our intelligence means not that I know that I have been attacked by such and such disease, and I know this is the medicine, and I can just go to the market and buy and take it. No, it doesn't work like that. You still need to go to a doctor. Doctor will guide you, even though you're going to take that medicine, in what doses you take. If you take the medicine, what kind of reactions you may face to counteract the negative repercussion of that intake of the medicine, he is going to prescribe you another medicine. So there are a lot to it. Similarly, just by knowing that, oh, everything should be accepted as the will of the Lord, that is not enough, that is not sufficient. A devotee should have the sufficient spiritual intelligence to guide himself, to project himself in different situations. When he accepts something as the mercy of the Lord, sometimes the negative experience may be so high that he may also leave. No, that is not the goal. The goal is to stay in Krishna consciousness. By accepting everything as the mercy of the Lord, are you able to tolerate, adjust, or is just becoming a sentimental thing? No, Krishna consciousness should not be accepted on sentimental platform. Therefore, I say, doctor, you have to go to a Shiksha Guru or to your Diksha Guru who knows the science clearly and will be able to see through what is going on with you. And if you apply like this, what will happen to you? Otherwise, by taking this as the mercy of the Lord, and you may lose yourself. That requires, as I said, and it requires some spiritual intelligence. You may not be able to see what will happen if you accept like that. Or if you try to act upon the adversary situations, you may also end up creating more offenses unto you. Unto that person or the devotee. So to deal with such kind of situation, you have to take assistance of another devotee. But it is highly recommended. Even sometimes we have seen some devotees who take assistance from some other senior devotees. They are not able to follow them also because their conditioned nature is so grave. The conditioned nature pushes them according to their nature. They can't see any good in the good advice of a senior devotee. That also you have seen. Therefore, you need to go to somebody who knows you, and he will be able to and you also have faith in him that he is never going to do something which is not good for you. When you understand him, when you have faith in him, then he says something that will make sense. Therefore, bhaktistu bhagavad sangena parijayate. Bhakti should be practiced in the association of the devotees. Just by committing ourselves on our own, sometimes we may face some troubles, difficulties. Therefore, creating a good, sadhu sangha is very important. Just like in sadhu sangha, how it protects us, you see, let me give you an example. If you have seen this construction company who build multi-story building, when they go to the 26th floor, they're constructing, or even 10th floor also, this, they will have net, right? And also net, around the area where the workers are working. Because sometimes the workers are so fixed, so much engrossed in their work, they lose attention for their security. And so at that time, even if they fall, they will be still protected because net is there, right? So similarly, if we have not created a net of devotee association around us, we don't know when we are being inattentive, and we may fall down also. So at that time, this net is going to protect us. Therefore, sadhu sangha, correct sadhu sangha is very, very important. Not any kind of net is going to protect you. So similarly, not any kind of sadhu sangha is going to protect you. You have to see what kind of sadhu sangha is beneficial for you. Then only you can get protected.
I very much like this analogy about the safety net. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you for your tolerance. Let's see. We will meet next week. Those who are coming to Chaitanya Charitamrita class next Friday, I'll be in some program in Bangladesh. So there'll be no Chaitanya Charitamrita class, but Bhagavatam class will resume next week. I will come back to Mayapur by Monday and we will continue Bhagavatam. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.